everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard Fixer. Now today we're going to be looking at Mackie DL digital mixer. It's a dl06, which is a 8-channel digital mixer, and we're going to see how we can repair this mixer. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment if you like these videos. Here we have the Mackie DL806. As you can see, it has 8 channels here, the outputs, the power button and the phantom button, and you have the area here for a tablet. So we're gonna power it on to see if it comes on. All right, don't see anything coming on. We're gonna check further to see what happens. Check to see if the power supply that we have, if we're getting power there. So as we can see that this power supply is a 12-volt DC power supply, 48 watts. So we're going to check power from the output of the power adapter to see if we're getting 12 volts. So we have the adapter right here, and the inside is positive, the outside is negative, and we're supposed to get 12 volts. So if we look on the meter, we're getting 12 volts, 12.37. So therefore we have power. So we're gonna pull this power supply down, board down to see exactly what's happening with it. For this mixer, we have a few screws that we have to take out. These screws inside here, and there's screws on the bottom. So we're trying to get the power supply section out. So we're just gonna remove these screws and then check to see. So there's screws in the bottom, there's screws in the top right here. Okay, so I've dismantled the mixer and I'm checking for power. So previously I checked getting power input from the adapter to this. I checked the switch that is here, and I'm getting 12 volts coming back out onto this adapter right here. And this is a main board and power supply in one, because it's a 12-volt power supply, so it doesn't really get rectified anymore. So the first thing I observe while using my multimeter is that when I put my meter on the input connector, it beeps like there's a short, and that's a dead giveaway. There's a diode that's sitting across the pins of the input right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift this diode off the circuit to see if the diode that is bad. I'm going to retest it, and also just to verify whether there's something else in the circuit that's causing this and if it can be repaired. But first I'm going to use my soldering iron, just lift one end and just test it to see if it's still shorting. All right, stay tuned. Okay, so I've removed the diode from the circuit. This is where the cathode was. The cathode has there's a mark on it, there's a line. The cathode is the negative part of the diode, and the anode is the positive side of the diode. Now I have my multimeter on diode check, and let's go and test it. So it's beeping. It means that this is a full short. So this diode is bad. It's once you hear that beeping sound, it means that there's a continuously straight line between the diode, because the diode is shorted. All right, so I'm going to check the circuit to see if anything else has been damaged. Just trace the circuit, but for sure this diode is bad. All right, so I'm just taking a closer look at where the diode was taken from, which was from this point right here. And as we observe, based on where in the circuit that this diode is a suppressor for electrostatic discharge, or any spike, any transient voltage. So if you have any high spike in voltage, then this diode will actually do the blocking. So with this removed, since this diode is shorted, the mixer will still power up, but it won't have that added protection. So that diode is actually for an added protection. All right, so I'm going to show you that I can hook up all the things back together and that it will power on. All right, so what I'm doing now is just to connect this back together. All I'm doing is connecting this power cable to this part of the board here. These are the input-output cables that I don't really need to connect, so I'm just gonna, but I need to connect these two black cables here. They go right here. All right, so I'm just gonna connect it just for a little bit. All right. Okay. All right, and I connect this part of the power supply back to the board. Okay. And I'll rest this over here. All right. So right now, just gonna get the power cable. Got the power cable, power connector. I'm gonna connect it, making sure that we can actually see it. So I connect this right here, and I'm gonna power on the mixer. Now the mixer is on. Now we can see that the mixer power on. So we have the power light being illuminated. You can try the phantom power light too. Phantom power does work. All right, so the diode that got that shorted out, which came from under here, you can see that diode is a protective diode. So its main function in the circuit is to prevent any transient voltage or spiking voltages or anything like that. Because of how it is designed, the power supply and the main board is in one. So anything that affects the power supply more than likely will affect the main board. So that is why they have put that added diode in the circuit for more protection. It works like a surge protector. That's basically what's the function of that diode. All right, so I can get a diode and replace it, and it should be up and working. So after I had removed the diode from the circuit, I plugged the mixer in and the power light came on. That was okay. But when I tried to connect it to my router, because this one is controlled through the app, but you have to connect the router to the Ethernet port. It wasn't picking up the mixer, so I realized that the Ethernet port was defective. When I look inside, the pins were all over the place, and this is the old port. I took this new one from a main board I have for a Behringer X32. They're all the same, so they can be used interchangeably. It doesn't really matter. So I removed this, desoldered this from the circuit, put that one, and I got it to connect. So I'm going to show you guys that is up and that it's working. So here is my router that the mixer is connected to. So there's an Ethernet cable that's plugged from the router to the mixer right here. So the mixer is powered on, and the Ethernet cable is plugged in. So I have something playing, as you can see that there's signal coming in. So we're gonna go to the app. All right. So I have the master fader app. Let's open. I have to make sure I connect to the correct Wi-Fi, which is that one. All right, I'm just gonna go in this connect. So there's my mixer. It's not connected as yet because I think I just plugged in the router, so it's still loading. Once it's connected, there's going to be a green symbol right here that will tell you that it is connected, because right now you can see on the screen it says it is disconnected, and then you'll be able to control the app from there. All right, so now we're connected and we have the app open. Let me maximize it so we can see. All right. All right. So that's it. So today we repaired the power supply on this, changed the Ethernet port, and we're connected with the master fader app, and you can hear music in the background. All right, guys. All right, take care.